Welcome to Part 5 of the Careers for the Common Good pre-service orientation. This time, it's on to the not-so-fun stuff. The policies that you as a member need to adhere to during your service. While this sounds incredibly boring, it's very important that you pay close attention so you don't accidentally or deliberately violate these rules. Doing so could cost you your education award or worse. Let's start with the drug and alcohol policy. Kansas Campus Compact is committed to protecting the safety, health, and well-being of all members and other individuals in community-based sites. Alcohol abuse and drug use pose a significant threat to our organization's goals. We have established a drug-free workplace program that balances our respect for individuals with the need to maintain an alcohol and drug-free environment. Any member who's convicted of a criminal drug violation, either on campus or at their service site, must notify Kansas Campus Compact in writing within 5 calendar days of the conviction. Kansas Campus Compact will take appropriate action within 30 days of notification. Federal contracting agencies will also be notified when appropriate. Now, in the case of applicants, if you violate the drug-free workplace policy, the offer of enrollment can be withdrawn. You'll be allowed to reapply after 1 year, and you must successfully pass a pre-employment drug test in that case. If you violate this policy after you are officially enrolled, you will be terminated from your term of service immediately, and you will not be eligible for an education award. Participation in AmeriCorps can affect disability benefits for some members. However, because Careers for the Common Good members do not receive a living stipend while they're serving, they're less likely to have their disability benefits negatively impacted by participation in AmeriCorps. Members will not lose disability benefits as a result of participating. However, it is possible that the Education Award could trigger a decrease in monthly SSI benefits after the Education Award is used. The Education Award is considered taxable income for members in the year that the award is used, not earned. Thus, there's no effect on disability benefits during the service term because the participant has not yet received the Education Award. It is against the law for organizations that receive federal financial assistance from the Corporation for National Community Service to discriminate on the basis of race, color, national origin, disability, sex, age, political affiliation, or religion. It is also unlawful to retaliate against any person who or organization that files a complaint about such discrimination. In addition to filing a complaint with your local and state agencies that are responsible for resolving discrimination complaints, you may bring a complaint to the attention of the Corporation for National Community Service at the address and phone listed on the screen. If issues arrive with grievances about program matters, there is a procedure in place to deal with most, but not all situations. Guidance on the grievance policy procedures is included in your member handbook. We touched on this in the service activities video, but this is a good time to remind you that members may not, as part of the service hours, perform services assigned to an employee or to an employee who has been recently resigned or discharged. Service sites may not use you in a way that will displace an employee or position. An example of this would be if you take over the responsibilities formerly assigned to an administrative assistant at a nonprofit organization. Say you were filing case reports, answering phone calls, and taking care of the fiscal management of the agencies. These hours are purely administrative and do not count as direct service. There are a number of other activities that you absolutely cannot participate in while serving or identified as an AmeriCorps member. Now, like private citizens, you can participate in any of these activities listed below, like lobbying and political and advocacy activities, on your own time, at your own expense, and at your own initiative. However, if you take part in the prohibited activities, you may not count that time towards your term of service, and you may not wear AmeriCorps service gear in such instances or identify yourself as an AmeriCorps member. Now, the next few slides go over these prohibited activities. The first is political activities. These are prohibited. They might include efforts to influence legislation or lobbying for your program, organizing a letter writing campaign to Congress, engaging in partisan political activities, organizing or participating in protests, petitions, boycotts, or strikes, voter registration drives, or participating in, endorsing, events, or activities that are likely to include advocacy for or against political parties, political platforms, political candidates, proposed legislation, or elected officials. Religious activities are prohibited. These might include engaging in religious instruction, conducting worship services, providing instruction as part of a program that includes mandatory religious instruction or worship, constructing or operating facilities devoted to religious instruction or worship, maintaining facilities primarily or inherently devoted to religious instruction or worship, and engaging in any form of religious proselytizing. You'll note that this does not prohibit service with or alongside faith-based organizations as long as the activity does not require you to promote a specific religious belief. Union activities are also prohibited. These might include assisting, promoting, or deterring union organizing, or impairing existing contracts for services or collective bargaining agreements. You also cannot provide a direct benefit to a for-profit entity. Finally, participating in activities that pose a significant safety risk to participants is also prohibited. The common sense rule is very applicable in avoiding or diffusing situations where safety concerns may arise or exist. One other note, fundraising. Fundraising exists in a unique gray area. In regards to fundraising for your service site, it's generally prohibited practice. However, there are some very limited exceptions. You may engage in fundraising if it provides immediate and direct support to a specific and direct service activity, if it falls within the program's approved direct service objectives, if it's not the primary activity of your program, and if it involves in-kind donations rather than cash donations. So those limited exceptions, even with those, I recommend staying away from fundraising if at all possible, because it keeps your life simpler, and it keeps my life simpler too. However, if you must engage in one of the accepted fundraising activities, you may only spend a maximum of 10% or 30 hours of your time fundraising, and then only as long as it provides immediate and direct support to a specific and direct service activity. You also do so if the fundraising falls within the CCG approved direct service objectives and are not the primary activity of the program. You can solicit in-kind donations rather than cash donations, for instance. I'll give you a couple examples. You could be writing a grant to private philanthropies if it applies to the program, or you could solicit in-kind donations through a bake sale or donated books for your literacy program. You may not spend more than 10% of your time on fundraising. You also cannot write a grant to any federal agency, raise funds for your own living allowance, or raise funds for an organization's generating general operating expenses. A quick note that you should keep in mind is that individuals are currently limited to 2 lifetime terms in AmeriCorps, AmeriCorps Vista, Senior Corps, or NCCC. This applies whether you receive your education award or you're terminated for cause. So if you drop out early, your education award is lost and you'll have burned one of your years of eligibility. Alright, sometimes that happens though. What if you can't finish your term? There will unfortunately be sometimes situations that arise that prevent you from completing your required term of service. I want to say again, it's highly discouraged, and you should always talk with your campus coordinator before dropping out of the program. But if you do have to end your service early, be advised that in most cases you will not receive even a partial education award, even if you've done 299 hours. If you violate any of the terms of the program, you will be terminated for cause and receive no award. You'll also have burned one of your years of eligibility. So all I can say is be diligent about your service and be sure you can complete it. Pay attention to yourself now. Think about your schedule now. Make sure if you're enrolling, you're ready to commit to get all 300. For cause terminations can come one of 3 ways. You can fail to adhere to one or more of the CCG or AmeriCorps guidelines, including regular submission of timesheets, displaying the lapel pin and or AmeriCorps logo, or other expectations. You will also be terminated for cause if you are convicted of a violent felony and or the sale of distribution of a controlled substance during your term of service. For-cause terminations also include your decision to end participation early without proof of compelling personal circumstances. What are those? Those compelling personal circumstances, there's only a few of them that rise to that level. And these are the only early terminations that may justify providing you with a partial education award. These include severe illness or disability that makes your service impossible, a death or severe illness in your immediate family that inhibits your ability to complete your term, military service obligations, natural disasters, the relocation of a spouse, or the premature closing of either Kansas Campus Compact or your campus. Compelling circumstances do not include the burdens of other academic coursework, demands placed on you by another job, dissatisfaction with the Careers for the Common Good program, or your inability to complete all of your 300 hours at your original service site. If you have compelling personal circumstances that are listed in these 6 bullets, we may be able to grant you a suspension of your enrollment or a partial education award depending on the circumstances. If you are terminating your service early, you will need to submit a written document to your campus coordinator to that effect and complete the AmeriCorps exit form. Merely ceasing submission of timesheets is not sufficient notification. By not informing your campus coordinator, you are preventing another interested student from participating in Careers for the Common Good. Phew, we survived the legal stuff. Just one more video left, and it's probably the most fun one for you. You want to know the ins and outs of the education award you should be receiving? That's next in part 6 on the Eli Siegel Education Award.